But Tim, two women together, that's just disgusting.
It is. That's how we'll start the podcast.
That's just not natural. I'm all for gay rights, but two women together, ugh.
No, that belongs on Skinamax.
Yes. But, I always call it the fancy cable if you had HBO and Skinamax. We couldn't afford that. As a matter of fact, I don't think we had cable until my senior year of high school. But if you didn't have it, you kind of watch it through the squiggly lines.
Right.
Like, ooh, there's a breast. There's a butt.
It's the Seti Bimco Show. With your hosts, Tim and John, two grown men who have pet names for their vacuum cleaners.
It's episode 4 of Seti Bimco with your host, Tim.
I can't believe it's already, and I'm John. And I just can't believe it's already episode 4.
Right, with our first interview.
I know this is going to be exciting.
Do you remember her name?
Yes, it's Edie Nugent.
She's in the green room right now.
Eating off the craft service table.
Right. But Seti Bimco, the show where we often talk to people about their embarrassing high school calamities. I don't know why I started using the word calamity.
Because at the time, I guess they did seem like calamities.
Right.
Now, as the little tagline says, instead of looking back with anger, we look back with laughter.
Right.
So how are you doing, Tim?
I am good. You had vacation this week, so I hope you have more interesting stories than I usually have. I hope you went to Ithaca, to a bar, got in a fight, got arrested.
Nope. Nope. It did nothing. I went out to my mother's for the weekend.
Okay.
I'm halfway to 112 now, which is always a hard time when you get to halfway to 112.
Ooh,
and basically, we went out. We had dinner at my mom's house, and there's a carrot cake because I love carrot cake, but nobody could find any candles, so there were no candles. So it really wasn't a birthday cake; it was just a cake.
I love carrot cake
for my birthday. But then again, it wasn't February 21st. It wasn't my brother's birthday when we always used to celebrate it. So maybe that was the problem.
You guys should switch off on days, right?
We should. You think we could have alternated each year? Nope.
Yeah.
Always had to be. Maybe even just leap years. We could have done it on the 20th. Nope. Always had to be on the 21st because Chris was the younger one, and you're the older one. You can handle it better. You'll be fine. Because my mother didn't want to bake a second cake. I know what it was.
And does he like carrot cake?
I don't know. I don't care. I'm not bitter, Tim. I'm not bitter. Not at all. I'm fine. Want to talk about it? No, I don't. I don't want to talk about it.
For full disclosure, I used to live in Ithaca, and I was at the chapter house, which burned down and was rebuilt.
Yes.
I helped out with the Hangar Theater long ago. And I was talking to one of the actors, and I'm one of those people who I guess has that face that makes you think, oh, he's a nice person. I can tell him anything. Because I just met this person and was having a drink. And eventually he said, so don't you ever put on adult diapers with your friends and go out to the bar and urinate in your pants while you're talking with strangers? And I was like, well, no, I never really did that. And
then the rest of the evening, you're looking at his crotch going, I wonder if he's doing it now.
I know. We got an exciting episode. We're doing our first interview.
Yes, I'm very excited about this.
Edie Nugent, the first person outside the two of us to talk about our embarrassing high school calamities. So why don't we just introduce Edie Nugent?
Yay!
Here she is.
Okay, cool.
Edie's a co-host of the podcast, The Great Dante Read Through.
It's on Spotify, yeah.
I listened to an episode 2 days ago. It was very wonderful.
Oh, thank you.
You did listen, John?
Oh, I did listen, Tim.
Wow.
I researched him. I don't know what you're doing all week, but I'm researching. I take this very seriously.
I love that.
You're born and raised in New York City. You're a staff writer with the Comics Beat and has written for Looper, Weird Tales Magazine, ComingSoon.net, Geek and Sundry, which I don't know Geek and Sundry.
They got absorbed into Nerdist. But it was an offshoot for a while that had a glorious 4 or 5 years there. If you know the podcast video series Critical Role, where people played D&D, that came out of Geek and Sundry. That's probably its most famous property.
You'll love our second episode.
You will love our second episode.
Mazes and Monsters.
Wonderful.
Do you even know that movie exists, Edie?
No.
Oh my God. It's a movie.
I'm new to D&D. I'm new. I have to
admit. Not. Are you really?
I am. Yeah. I just started playing D&D a couple of years ago for the very first time. I seem like the sort of person who would have been playing D&D since forever. And I kind of am resentful that I wasn't playing D&D for forever.
And how long have you been?
How long have I been interviewing people? Well, technically since I was a child. There are old tapes I have found of me at 10 years old interviewing my father and my neighbors about things. Yeah, somewhere.
Wow.
I unearthed them maybe 10, 15 years ago. They may be gone now through several moves, but I remember listening to them when I was in my mid-20s and being really charmed and also cringing a lot.
Well, I think John wants to ask you about a particular interview.
I went online and saw the interview that you did with John Barrowman.
Oh, yeah. That was a great one.
Now, was that around the time he was doing Torchwood?
It wasn't. It was in 2016 at San Diego Comic-Con. And we were talking about a Torchwood comic book that he and his sister had written together and was being released.
Oh, nice. Okay, I have to make a comment about John Barrowman.
Oh boy, here we go.
I saw John Barrowman. Well, no, I saw him live on Broadway.
Oh, great. Yeah, the Broadway years.
Yeah, it was Christmas night, 1999. And he was in a Sondheim review called Putting It Together with Carol Burnett, Bronson Pinchot. George Hearn got nominated for a Tony for it. And I just have this really deep question to ask you.
Okay.
Because he was sitting down when you were interviewing for him. Did you notice how awesome his ass was?
He was wearing these little swim trunks when I was interviewing him.
I noticed that. Yes.
Yeah, I bet you did. He also has calves of steel. He looked great. And he was wonderful and lovely and warm and nice and silly. He and his sister were great, but yeah, he looked, he was everything you'd want from John Barrowman at that moment in time. Truly. He was,
I think what John is saying is he's wondering if his ass is still as good as it was in 1999.
Yeah, I would say 2016 John Barrowman calves and butt are I didn't see him in 99, though I would have loved to have seen him in Miss Saigon.
He was in Miss Saigon.
He was in Miss Saigon. He played John, not John, Chris, the GI that then, falls in love and leaves. And
yes,
it's another thing that's kind of cringy now looking back on it, Miss Saigon. But I did love it when I was in high school and didn't know any better.
It's like everything.
Oh, because of the failure to cast the Asian actors. Yeah.
Yeah, the whole Jonathan Pryce thing and just the whole
The woman who doesn't she kill herself because she
does
can't have her man?
No, she doesn't kill herself actually because she can't have her man. She kills herself in the end, which was why I liked it because I was a dramatic teenager, as we will discuss today. It's a nice segue. I was a dramatic teenager and she kills herself because she wants her son that she's had with this GI who then left when Saigon was being fled by American troops, being deserted. She had a baby and she wants the baby to be taken for a better life with its father in America. And he doesn't want to take the child because he's got a wife and everything now. And
I haven't heard it in a while. And I always get it confused with Rocky Horror,
Nobody kills themselves at the end of Rocky Horror either. What are you
don't?
No. There is sort of a death. Does Frank die? Maybe. Don't know. He's an alien, so who knows?
Well, I guess what John is saying is we all have a crush on John Barrowman.
He's a really sweet guy. He's also had some trouble lately he was known for being very, he was sort of flashing people backstage a lot.
Oh, no.
And that became, people would talk about it. And I think he kind of got away with that for a long time because he's incredibly charming. And I think very like childlike about these things, you know?
Yeah.
He's kind of not pulling a Louis C.K. He's just kind of like, you know, I'm streaking at summer camp kind of guy. Like,
Gotcha.
you know, I can't speak for the people who are around him, but that seemed the vibe from what I could tell. So, but he is a very, very nice guy and very open and makes himself very available to all the fans. And
I was telling John, I also met him and had a little story because back in 2009, I was sent to Comic-Con because of the book.
Like you were sent to war. I was sent to the front.
I was. It was grueling. But John Barwin was there along with his female partner on the show, whose name I forget. She was
Eve Miles.
No, I mean acting partner, the Asian woman.
I can't remember her
That's
name.
okay. I just don't remember right now. I don't know the whole cast.
Terrible.
John's a big fan. He should know the cast members. But
She's wonderful.
he was selling photos, and I was like, I'll get a photo because he's here. And I was being kind of funny about it. I was like, it's for my wife. Her name's Jean. He goes, oh, Jean. Jean with a J, which is how it's spelled. And I'm like, no. And so he rips up the one he wrote with Jean with a J and wrote Jean with the G. And I couldn't tell him a second time that he spelled it wrong. I was just like, thank you. And I've got that picture for Jean spelled with a G.
That's wonderful.
Yeah.
It's Naoko Mori.
Naoko Mori?
Yes, playing Toshiko.
Okay.
I was going to say Toshiko, but I didn't want to say that because I knew that was the character name, not the actor's names.
Right. Thank you.
I also love Torchwood against my better judgment, John. So we could just talk all day, you and me.
Does John like Torchwood? He didn't really say. He likes John Barrowman.
Oh, I see.
Oh, I like Torchwood. No, I did like Torchwood. I think they should have had more shots of his ass, but that's just my opinion. I think it really would have taken off had they done that, but nobody asked me. Now, Edie, would you consider yourself a Whovian? Are you a huge Dr.
Yes,
Who fan?
I would absolutely consider myself a Whovian for sure.
I don't know if we want to take this podcast that direction.
I don't know if you want to go in that direction, man. That's kind of a whole other rabbit hole we can fall down, but yes.
I didn't think John was.
I met my husband because of Doctor Who. So, I mean, if that doesn't seal it right there, I don't know what will.
You got a special, it's got a special place in your heart. I totally get it.
Well, John, hearts like TARDISes are bigger on the inside.
Oh, God.
Yeah.
There you go.
This is a cringe podcast, right? Am I doing the right thing?
Yeah. Oh, you're totally doing the right thing. Don't you worry about that.
Let's talk about Star Trek instead.
We can do that. I just finished watching Blake 7. We could talk about that too.
I don't know if John is that deep into BBC archives. Are you, John? He's looking it up. Don't look it up, John.
I'm not that deep.
Yes. I like all the nerdy things pretty much without exception.
I honestly, I do catch Doctor Who. I don't watch it as soon as the series comes out. I sort of watch it. I sort of binge watch it. Like I haven't seen the new Doctor Jodie, although I guess she's not the new Doctor anymore. She's been on for several series.
Yeah, she's almost on her way out. But yes, she is the new Doctor. Fair enough.
Yes. And that's the big thing on. So I do need to sit down and watch. But I was introduced to Doctor Who. And I'm giving away my age here, but with Tom Baker.
Yes.
Who was the third or fourth Doctor?
The fourth Doctor.
Fourth Doctor, John.
It was, of course, we were both born. He was the fourth Doctor. Okay, I wasn't sure. But no, that's how I started. And I couldn't watch it in my house because I was, we were always fighting over the TV. But I had a friend. I would go over to his house and we would watch Doctor Who. And loved it. I fell in love with it.
A lot of people fell in love with the Tom Baker era.
I had two brothers that were friends, and I was like, they were never into Doctor Who much. And I was at their house one night, and they're like, "Oh my God, it's almost 7:30. We got to watch Doctor Who." And I went in with them, and I was like, "Oh, you're not usually into Doctor Who like this." And so I sit down with them, and I realize their dad is sitting down too. He's like, "It's time for Doctor Who." And I don't know if John remembers. I know Edie does, but there was a season a season or two with Leela.
I was just about to say, is this a Leela story? I was already there, Tim.
Who ran around half naked, and their dad was so pathetic. He's like, "Gotta watch Doctor Who now."
Gotta watch Doctor Who now.
That's wonderful.
I think Benny Hill was on. He could have watched that. That was a terrible show.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah.
Oh gosh. That was on channel 9 in New York. I remember.
Right.
That.
After the $1 billion movie or $1 million movie.
$1 billion movie.
Maybe we should ask Edie about her story. I hope there's some.
Well, are we done asking her questions? I just feel there's so much we should be asking her. Like,
I already have to edit out all this Doctor Who stuff. So if you have,
my gosh,
if you want to ask her more questions, I did ask her a pre-question. She didn't.
No, I thought
she did not answer.
Oh, did you?
I've seen a picture of you with Carrie Fisher. You did not interview her. You just met her, or
a picture of me with Carrie Fisher.
I thought, oh wait, you dressed up as her.
I did dress up as her.
Oh, okay.
I've one of the pieces I've written that I'm probably the most proud of talks about how I did take a picture with Carrie Fisher once, but that is on a roll of undeveloped film.
Oh.
And I wrote this right after she died. And it was a tribute to her because she inspired me to be a writer. And then I had a story about meeting her and how she told me that I had to keep writing, and was just generally wonderful. As most Carrie Fisher stories that people have to tell, they are funny and wonderful. And she was no exception. And so, yeah, actually, I still have somewhere this camera that has the undeveloped picture on it because I lost it for many years. And then when it resurfaced, I was afraid when I developed it, it would not come out, because the film was so old.
Right, right.
That was a whole metaphor used in the piece. You can find that at Comic Speed. If you Google my name, Edie Nugent and Carrie Fisher, that comes up, which is kind of satisfying.
I must have read it when it came out because in my mind, I was like, you met her? I saw a picture.
It's somewhere in the back of your mind. And Simon Fraser, my husband, which is the reason I know you, Tim, he drew a beautiful portrait of her that's in that article.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
But I think we're Carrie Fisher. No, I think the being a nice person part was genetic, because I have a story about her mother, Debbie Reynolds. And this was about 1990, 1991. And Debbie Reynolds was touring in a production of The Unsinkable Molly Brown, which was the only role she ever got an Oscar nomination for. And this was in January or February at the Landmark Theater in Syracuse. And if anybody has ever been to Syracuse in January or February,
cold.
It's a little chill. Yes. So she came out the stage door, and there were a bunch of people back there, me being one of them, and she was signing autographs. And there were a lot of people asking for autographs. And she stayed out there, and she kept, and there was snow, and the wind was blowing, and she just kept. And finally, somebody came up to her, Miss Fisher, we really have to get going now. And she turned to the guy and said, no, these people have been standing out here waiting for my autograph. I'm going to make sure that everybody gets an autograph, and I'll be damned. Debbie Reynolds, who at one time was one of the biggest movie stars in the world, stood out there on that cold night in Syracuse for probably about an hour and 15 minutes and made sure that everybody got an autograph, which I always thought was so wonderful that she would do. Yeah. She didn't have to do that. So I'm thinking that's probably where Carrie got her kindness from. It was genetic.
Yeah. Yeah, no, that doesn't surprise me at all. That's also kind of that old showbiz thing. There are a couple people I've had occasion to meet in my work as a freelance entertainment journalist. And there are some people that just kind of have what I've referred to as that old Hollywood thing. One of them was Will Smith. When I was at the Suicide Squad junket, or Suicide Squad junket, not the Suicide Squad, because that's the James Gunn version now. The is really important. But the first Suicide Squad movie, and he was at the junket for that with all the stars, and he went around to every single reporter in that crowd and shook hands with them and introduced himself. And he knew some of them, actually. He was like, hey, Maria, how are your kids? Like, he remembered some of them. And I was just thinking, that's like that old Hollywood star thing of like, this is how I network. Like it's always a networking opportunity, but like in a warm and genuine way, not in like, I mean, obviously it's calculated somewhat, but just kind of in an appreciation for like, this is what the business is. It's the people that make me able to do this. And so I'm going to take my time with each of them.
I know what side my bread is buttered on. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. Because without the fans, you're nothing.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm going to go the opposite direction to call back to our first episode that there's a celebrity in my neighborhood. And when we had the big snowstorm, they were one of the few people who didn't shovel their walk. So there's my bad celebrity story.
What celebrity didn't shovel their walk?
I'm not going to tell.
Were they even there though, Tim, or were they at one of their other houses?
I think they go to LA to film a lot of things.
Yeah, I would imagine. They're just not paying someone to keep it up. They should employ a local to keep up their property.
Yeah. I shouldn't complain.
They probably are, and they just cashed the check and didn't do the work.
I didn't bother.
She's in LA. I'm not shoveling her walk.
Easiest $50 I ever made.
Oh, I do want to say, to fill up all that space for where Doctor Who gets cut out, Edie went on a belated honeymoon with her husband to Scotland. And did you go elsewhere?
We went to Scotland and we did like 10 days in the south of France on the Côte d'Azur.
Oh.
Yes.
I wanted to say sorry, but what John doesn't know what happened when you went to come home.
So we did our delayed honeymoon going around Scotland, visiting distilleries that make the whiskey that we love and enjoy together, and visiting like Neolithic sites, old standing stones and settlements. And it was fantastic. And then saw some family because, of course, my husband's Scottish. So if we're in Scotland, we got to visit the family and get our time with them. And then we went because France is so close to Scotland. So we went over to the Côte d'Azur, where one of my best friends lives, and she has 2 small children. So we went over and we had this beautiful time, and we were in the Nice airport, ready to head home on Labor Day weekend. And they would not let my husband on the plane because there was a problem with his visa, which had been renewed during COVID times and not renewed fully, apparently, though we thought that it had. And thus began an odyssey where my husband was stuck out of the country for 2.5 months, and I had to come home without him.
Wow. Well, sorry that happened.
Yeah,
How do you get a partial visa? My gosh.
It was very weird. It was the kind of thing where it's like they approve the visa for renewal, but then in order for you to travel on the visa, it has to be processed through an embassy every time, which we did not know. Thought it was just the initial time. But no, you apparently have to leave the country and get it processed through an embassy and re-enter the country on the visa if you want to have movement with it. And so he would have been fine to stay in the United States on that renewed visa and not leave the country. But we didn't know that. So we left the country and therefore.
I think Scotland just wants to keep more of its people. They've got their one Lake Monster, their one deep fried candy bar shop. Yeah. And they need their one Simon Fraser.
I know. I mean, I can't fault them for wanting to hang on to him, but check your visa before you leave.
The joke was on Edie because the in-flight movie was Aquaman. That's my lame joke.
Oh, no, my joke was just going to be, there are some people who go on their honeymoons who hope that their new spouse wouldn't be let back into the country.
Barred.
So, Edie.
Yes.
Should we hear your story?
Should we hear my story? How do we get into this? So
Edie's going to tell us her calamitous high school story, and that means it's time to
visit. I didn't realize you were going to do that.
No, we're all going to say
who
it. All
talks
of us.
like that. It's
all 3 of us.
Yes, all 3 of us.
Okay. Who talks like that?
Count of 3.
Okay.
It's time
to visit
the past.
I think John has a lag. I think John's in the past.
John, did you?
I probably am.
Did you smoke something before the episode, John? It is John's birthday.
Happy birthday!
Yesterday was my birthday.
Happy belated birthday.
Thank you. Well, it's a little bit of a touchy subject for me from the 21st because I have a brother 3 years younger than I whose birthday is today, and we would always celebrate the birthday on his day because I guess A, my mother didn't want to bake a second cake, and B, he was the youngest.
That blows. I'm sorry, John. That's awful. You've been done wrong.
To add insult to injury, Tim sent the text today, happy birthday. And I just didn't respond. I just didn't respond to it. I was like, no, I'm not taking the bait.
So Edie.
That's a relief. It's usually mine.
You can tell us what
so I'm going to tell you an embarrassing story.
But I'd like to ask you don't have to tell us details. Like, what decade were you in school? Was like Oasis the big band, or was
I got no problem with my age, my friend. This story probably dates to 1996.
Okay.
So yeah, Oasis was a big band, Tim. Very, very well judged. Yeah, I think this was the year that One Street Day with Mariah Carey and Boyz II Men was like top of the charts, 16 weeks in a row.
I don't remember it well.
It's a really maudlin song, as you could imagine. But yeah, it was them our days. So I had a boyfriend in high school, and we dated for the high school equivalent of 15 years, which is a year and a half.
Yes.
You know how high school years are they're like dog years, 1 year is 7 years.
You might have spent Christmas at his house or vice versa, maybe.
Well, that it's interesting you say that, Tim, because actually, though most parents have really, really liked me, this boy's mom just decided that she did not like me and would never meet me. So she decided before meeting me that she didn't like me.
What? Never meet you?
She would never meet me. She would never acknowledge me. I still don't know why to this day. I was in her daughter was my contemporary. So my boyfriend was a year older than me. He was in the grade above, and I didn't really have a problem with her daughter. We were fine. I really don't know what this problem was. But anyway, this woman really had a problem with me. She was not a very nice person from what I was able to gather. My boyfriend had a lot of issues with her, but what this meant was I was not allowed to be around the house. So I would constantly be being sneaked into his house. Wow. I met the dad, I met his older brother, but never the mom.
Is this, may I ask, is this New York City, apartments?
This is New York City.
Sneaking into apartment buildings?
Yes, this is sneaking into apartment buildings because, growing up in the city, it's you've kind of got a couple of options if you're going to hook up with your significant other. And that's the park, right? That's kind of Lover's Lane, but also open to the elements. And, you come back from lunch with leaves in your hair and people give you weird looks, and it's not, it's not elegant. And so then the other thing is, sneaking into people's apartments when their parents aren't home. So everybody is.
If there's no doorman, there's no problem, right? Or was there a doorman?
Yeah, there was a doorman actually at this building, but the doormen, I think some of them are pretty chill. They kind of get it, maybe on the Upper East Side, the doorman will rat you out, but on the West Side, I feel the doormen were always pretty nice. So he actually lived very near where my school was. He was walking distance from my school. It was 10 blocks, maybe. No, not even. My God. About 10 blocks. We would often sneak off to his apartment after school was done and eat mac and cheese and watch the Disney afternoon. That, Gargoyles was on and,
Oh, okay.
Right?
He was a geek?
Yeah.
Wow.
Big surprise, Tim. Pretty much everyone I've dated has been a geek in my whole life.
We all didn't have that option.
I've never dated a normie ever, I don't think. So we...
Well, may I just say something?
Yes.
Well, we're just sitting in awe with you because you're actually somebody who actually dated in high school.
Oh, yeah.
We're really? Wow. That didn't happen to me. No, it didn't happen to me.
I mean, the dating pool was shallow, I'll say that. But I went for it,
Yeah. My dating pool was a drought. There was just nothing.
Yeah.
You weren't out in high school?
No. No, I wasn't out. No, I wasn't out in high school. Are you kidding?
No, I know, but I guess that's what you mean. So.
In
Makes
1982
sense.
at the height of AIDS. Oh yeah.
Yeah, right. That would have been a good time.
I would have been welcomed with open arms.
Absolutely.
If anybody had known that I was gay in high school, we lived in the area where they would have taken me to gay conversion therapy camp.
Oh yeah, I believe it.
No, I kept that. I kept it under my hat.
But in any event, we'll go back to my stupid, lighthearted.
I hope it's not lighthearted.
Hetero romp. I am not hetero. I am bisexual, but this is a straight-facing relationship I happened to be in at the time. Anyway, so we were at his house one time after school, and we were naked, as you are sometimes. and normally this was fine, but his mother came home early. So we're in his room. And we hear the keys, nightmare scenario. We hear the keys in the door, and it's like this is not a huge apartment. This is a Manhattan apartment, right in Midtown. So it's not gigantic.
Mm-hmm.
And the distance between the front door and the door of his room, it's really not a lot. I mean, we're talking like maybe 15, 20 feet.
And can I ask, were your shoes out there? So you're like, oh my God.
No, all my clothes were in his room.
Okay. There wasn't a line of clothing down.
No, there wasn't a line of clothing like from the door, like leading. No.
All right,
but I didn't know where any of my clothing was. I mean, it wasn't like strategically piled anywhere.
Right.
So we just kind of look at each other, me and this guy, and it's like just this deer in headlights, like freezing, like there's no time to do anything. And he just sort of like grabs me by the shoulders and he's like, you have to go under the bed. So I'm like, okay. And he's like, okay. And so I just like crawl under the bed, and it was not high off the ground. You know what I mean? Like it was not, there was not a lot of room under this bed, but I, not wearing anything, crawl under this bed. And I kind of,
under a teenager's bed with all the socks that are stiff and hard.
Well, I don't know how many of those there were. I mean, I was over pretty regular, Tim, but okay.
You don't know how disgusting teenage boys are.
I do.
Or maybe you do.
I do. I was well positioned for that. But I had to crawl under this bed, and he kind of like leaves the room to, I guess, go out and like say hello to his mother and like help her take her bags off or something, Mm-hmm. And I'm basically underneath this twin bed, sort of spread out like, what's the Da Vinci, like the Vitruvian Man, like I'm kind of like that.
Yes.
Because if I don't spread myself out, I don't fit under the bed without pushing the bed up, right? Like there's no room under this bed.
This is like a sitcom.
It's really, I mean,
the mother's going to come in and sit on the bed and have a talk with her son.
Funny you say that, Tim.
Really?
So he goes out to get her and takes her bags off, and he like starts making her tea, and then he comes back in the room and he sort of whispers to me as I'm under the bed. He's like, she's going to get in the bathtub and then we can sneak you out. And then he just leaves. And I'm like, okay. So I'm still just laying there. Like if she notices me, this is going to be so awkward coming out from under this bed. But yes, in fact, she gets ready. I hear him start to run the bathtub, or somebody starts running the bathtub. And then she comes by. Listen, they had a weird.
Go ahead.
I don't know what was going on there. It's fair enough to question it, Tim, honestly. But
I wasn't going to comment. I will comment later, but yeah.
Yeah, I didn't mean to interrupt. We'll come back to that.
She does, in fact, come in and sit on the bed.
Oh, my God.
And I did remember thinking at the time, this is like a sitcom. This is really happening. And I remember thinking, clearly this actually happens to people, and that's why it's in sitcoms. Like it's not. As
sitcoms and porn movies.
Oh God, I can only imagine where this would go. Oh, no, we're good. But yes. And I just remember like breathing in really deeply, like as she sat down. because I thought it was going to be like a Princess and the Pea situation, that she was going to be like, this bed doesn't feel normal. You know?
Yes.
She was going to like get up quickly and it was going to like poke me and I was going to go, ah! You know, or something like, but I made it. And she got up off the bed and she went into the bathroom and the bathroom door closed.
I don't know why she sat on your bed.
She sat on his bed.
I mean, that's what I mean. I don't know why she did that.
I don't know.
I think she was coming in to clean up the stiff socks. She didn't reach. She didn't reach under the bed, and you were
she didn't.
Okay.
And no, but she went into the bathroom and it was okay. He came out and I very quickly dressed and had to actually crawl out the window. Jeez. Because I was too afraid I was too afraid to like walk out, because like, what if she then like opens the bathroom door, like, hey, I just need to, one more thing. And then there I am like, do, sneaking out the front. So he had his window, his bedroom window actually faced onto this kind of like courtyard area that was like a shared area in this building. So I was able to like crawl out his window and sort of like shimmy out and drop down maybe like 5 or 6 feet into the shared courtyard area and then leave the building.
Oh, nice.
Yes. So I made it.
But John and I both want to back way up. Why was her son filling up her bathwater?
Okay, I've got my theory. Okay, A, she didn't like you and hadn't met you.
That's right. Her
son is drawing the bath for her. No, she never liked any woman he brought home.
Yeah,
you're probably right. His wife. She doesn't like her grandchildren because she's the mother of them. She was never going to like anybody.
You mean she didn't like his third wife, John, because he's on wife number 3.
Ooh.
Facebook is a weird thing. You find these things out.
Oh, Edie, I was going to also back up and be like, have you searched her out on Facebook to find out why she hates you?
Yeah, I wish. No, it's okay. I don't need to know. I'm not really concerned with her opinion at this point. I did care at the time, but I will remind you that my brain was 10 years away from being fully developed. So I can't be held responsible.
I feel if you had snuck by the door of the bathroom, she would have come out. Wait, what was your boyfriend's name? Or do you not want to say? Or just call him?
His name was John.
Okay.
It almost sounds like I'm making it up.
If she had stepped out of the bathroom and said, John, I need you to scrub my back.
Oh,
I was going to say that. Could you loofah me, please?
There was definitely a weird vibe there. It was for sure a weird vibe.
Mm-hmm.
It was a very weird vibe.
Yeah, so maybe third wife is the charm. Maybe she just finally gave up or died.
One of the two.
We can only hope. We can only hope it was a happy ending and she died.
Yeah, I mean, or her heart grew 3 sizes one day. I mean, I don't know. It was. There was some weird, I remember in high school that wasn't the first, now that I'm remembering it, there was actually another boyfriend I had that I had mom drama with. I didn't even think of this story.
You must have been a strong personality.
This one hated me without meeting me either. This one, I think I wasn't smart enough for her or something. She just knew that like I wasn't going to like a specialized school, therefore I wasn't like good enough.
Gotcha. Yeah, New York. Like that.
So she was very weird, and we had to sneak around. And I was always pretending that I was a math class partner when I would call his house, and I would be calling about homework, and that's how we would be able to talk on the phone in the days before cell phones. But she actually found love letters we wrote to each other and called my parents and tried to read them over the phone to my parents.
What's going on?
It was drama.
The drama never stops.
It really was. And I have my own issues with my dad, but he really earned his cred that day because he was like, listen, I am not going to listen to my daughter's love letters, her private letters be read over the phone to me. Like, I don't know what's going on with you and your son over there, but like, this is disgusting and I won't have any part in it. And he like hung up on her. And I was like, wow.
Yeah, that's a good parent.
All right, Dad.
My parents would never do that.
Yeah, they would be like, I'm taking notes. Can you Xerox them and send them?
So, Edie, is it safe to say you had a type.
Yeah. I'm like having a realization. Yeah, I'm the kind of
boys.
or I'm the kind of girl you date in high school when you want to piss off your controlling mom.
Maybe.
Like either could be true, but
do I dare ask Simon if Simon's mom likes you?
She does now.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, I don't think she ever disliked me, but she was definitely wary about like, who is this American interloper coming into my family. But like, that's fair enough. Cause there's my stepdaughter was involved at that point. So she had reason to be cautious about who was going to be.
Okay. That's a valid concern.
Yeah.
Nobody can trust Americans.
My husband's mom summoned me to Scotland. She flew us over there. It was very kind. She bought our plane tickets and flew me over there. And we spent time with her. But I also met his cousin Fiona, and she had us over to her house in Edinburgh and was very, very hospitable. And at the end of this whole meeting we had the first night I was there, I was like, I just wanted to say thank you so much for having me here in your home. And you've been so kind and it's really lovely to meet you. And she said, oh, it's so nice to meet you. And you're so normal. Like, what were they expecting? I always loved that comment.
I know.
Not at all what we were expecting.
Yeah, were they expecting like a Real Housewife with like a small dog and like clear heels and Yeah. I don't know.
Apparently, before you met the family in Scotland, you were referred to as the freak, and we were just very pleasantly surprised. Simon and his freak are coming over. Yeah,
the Meghan Markle.
Right.
This is not the time for me to admit that about a week ago, I sat and watched an entire Hallmark movie with Meghan Markle.
Uh-oh.
You should totally admit that.
Which one was it?
Oh, Tim, I don't know.
It was
a Hallmark movie with Meghan Markle. Yeah, she had a choice between two guys, and she picked the safe guy, and she really should have picked the quirky guy. And in the end, she did pick the quirky guy, but she kind of was almost messed it up with the quirky guy because he knew she picked the safe guy.
The safe guy, yeah.
And yeah, who was, of course, like a stick in the mud. And
we kept you for an hour. If you want to talk, Edie, you can talk. I appreciate your time and your
no problem.
Story.
I love that you just figured out the funny part before I even got there.
Well, I saw that in a pornographic movie.
Did you really?
Yes, come on.
Oh my God.
When I was in high school.
Wow. So that's even before this happened to me. Manifested it into the universe.
It was a very weird story. We were, the big thing to get back then was, John may remember, some of our friends had HBO and Cinemax.
Skinemax.
We didn't all get it. And late at night was Cinemax.
Fancy cable.
The girl
one of those people.
The girl I was kind of dating, she just fell asleep, and we were watching a late movie, and then Cinemax came on, and her mom was sitting there with us. And she was asleep and her mom was awake. And I'm like, are we going to keep watching Cinemax? And mom didn't turn it off. And there was a scene in the movie where some man had to hide under the bed and two women were having sex on top of the bed. And I looked over and her girlfriend's mom was laughing. Like, yeah, this is hilarious. I guess we're watching soft porn.
Oh my God. That's incredible. What a story.
You made me remember that. I forgot all about that.
Wow. Yeah, we're unearthing stuff today. Listen, I was just thinking about the old, you'll remember this, John. This was on when you were a teen, the Robin Bird show.
Oh, yes. I'd forgotten about that. Oh, my gosh.
Is this a New York local show?
It is a New York local show with this woman, Robin Bird, who kind of looked she kind of had that 80s kind of rocker chick look. And she would sit around on public access and she would interview people and they would do strip teases on the show. And then she would interview people and they would talk about sex really frankly. And it was on after hours. And literally it was full, I feel like it was full frontal nudity.
It was, yeah.
I feel like you got full frontal.
I don't know what channel was on.
Robin Bird.
Was it on one of those letter channels? I think it was on one of those letter channels. Remember, it went up, you had the dial, the old cable box, and it went A, B, C, D, E. Those were the public access. I think it was on one of those.
You had to stick a paperclip in there to get to come in.
It started in 1977, apparently, the Robin Bird show, which sounds like the right decade for that to start.
Yes.
It does sound like the right time. Yeah.
Unbelievable. When your friend, did you ever tell
hours,
Tim? Did you ever tell your girlfriend that you watched Skinamax with her mom?
I can't remember. It was like the traumatizing. It's one of
How
those
do you
things.
not remember if you told her that?
I think it's something where you're like, I'm not talking about this ever. We're just gonna
Repress.
I grew up in the same town as John, where you'll have to listen to the second episode, but I accidentally ordered some erotic pirate comics, male on male action. And I was like, John, I was like,
action.
I got to get rid of this, because if they find out, they're going to send me to be re-educated in China, where they got the good re-education school.
Oof.
But
and people called me queer.
Yeah, you should have sent the pirate comics to John. He would have appreciated them.
Well, I burned them.
You burned.
Of course.
So dramatic.
Unfortunately, he burned all the milk. Tim's parents said, we haven't gotten an electric bill in 2 months. What's going on?
Yeah, I burned all the mail. I couldn't take a chance.
Oh my God.
Nothing must get through.
Yeah, it's so funny to me. I wonder now, I just wonder what it's like for kids today now with this kind of stuff, because it's sort of ubiquitous and everywhere. It's not like this sneaky thing really anymore. I mean, I assume to some degree it is, because browser histories and all that kind of thing, but what's it like now,
It's
so you used to unearth these magazines or these tapes, and it was like, and now it's just kind of much easier to get this stuff.
I think some of them have a more healthy attitude, but it depends on the parents. If they're like, no, that's terrible.
Gosh, I'd hope so.
Or in spite of the parents. Or in spite of the parents.
Yeah. My parents were pretty cool about that sort of thing. They were generally pretty cool about that, to be honest.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah.
John and I went to Catholic school. So
well, that's a different.
Yes.
That's a horse of a different color, isn't it? Yeah.
Not the same Catholic school, but we both
not
went
the
to
same
Catholic school.
John, I'll plug episode 3. John was taught by the top exorcist in New York State.
Oh, at Fordham? The one who went to Fordham Prep, or not Fordham Prep. He taught at Fordham University.
Don't say his name.
The guy who consulted on The Exorcist. The Jesuit guy? You
can say his name and I'll blank it up. No, there was a Catholic priest that was.
No, he wasn't. He wasn't Jesuit. He wasn't.
Okay.
No.
I knew of that guy up at Fordham University. The guy who consulted on. On The Exorcist was teaching at Fordham at one point.
Episode 3, Edie. We talk about.
All right, I gotta check it out.
The Exorcist 2, though, Edie. Before you get excited, we talk about The Exorcist 2.
Ooh,
calm down.
Ooh, yeah, that's an interesting entry in the Exorcist oeuvre. Wow.
All right.
Well, I feel like we've definitely unearthed some demons here, folks.
Yes. You gave us a great story, Edie. I really appreciate you being here.
You're welcome. And
if you have
thank you for not canceling.
I would never do that.
Did you give us the address for Great Dante Read-Through? Do you want to?
So Great Dante Read-Through. So my husband, Simon Fraser, is a comics artist, and he came up and sort of made his name on co-creating the character Nikolai Dante for 2000 AD, which is the magazine where Judge Dredd comes from for Americans, because they don't really know about it, but it is very well known in the UK. It's a sci-fi anthology comic that comes out each week, sort of like Reader's Digest almost. You get little stories, little bites. And Nikolai Dante was sort of an atypical character for them, because they're a lot about kind of like, robots and fighting and futury stuff, and sometimes barbarians and stuff too. But Nikolai Dante is very swashbuckly lover and a fighter. I was going to say lover, not a fighter, but he very much becomes a fighter. And yes, it's set in the very, very far future, like around, I forget what year we start, maybe 2666. And it's basically a future Russia where Russia has taken over the entire world, and the different dynasties of Russia, family dynasties, are sort of vying for control of this future world. But there's a lot of like old Errol Flynn style swashbuckly fun for all of that. And we decided to read through all of the issues of this comic series, of which there are a few, and sort of talk about it, re-examine it.
Okay.
So you can find the Great Dante Read-Through really anywhere you find podcasts. It will be there. It's on Apple, it's on Spotify. And if you just Google Dante read through, you'll find us.
Great.
And you can find me on Twitter at Edie Helena. Edie is like Edie. Edie is like Edie. Edie is like Eddie, but with one D. And Helena is like Helen with an A. So Edie Helena on Twitter. And yeah, you can just kind of Google me. I'm around.
All right. Thanks so much.
I'm around.
You are around.
I am around.
You're under beds.
I'm under beds. I go where I have to go. You know what I mean? But it was so nice to meet you both, and happy belated birthday, John. I'm sorry you've been robbed by your family your whole life. That sucks. But we celebrate you.
Something I've been dealing with in therapy all my life. Don't worry. Thank you, Edie.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Edie.
Don't worry.
All right. Take care.
Thanks so much.
Bye.
Bye. That was a great story.
Yes, Tim. Yes,
and
that was a wonderful
next
story.
week on this show, we're going to go back and forth between looking at old pop culture and interviewing people. So next week, I picked the Muppet movie soundtrack. Not so much the Muppet movie, but the soundtrack, which was written by Paul Williams and Kenneth Asher.
Yeah.
And all the other things they worked on that even I didn't realize. And maybe you do know about, but it's very surprising.
A lot of stuff.
Tune in next week to have your mind blown.
I can't wait. I'm looking forward to it.
You can follow us
Williams, how can you go wrong?
No, that's true. Follow us on Twitter at SETIBIM and on Instagram at SETI_BIMCO. You can send us mail. You can send us email at SETIBIMCO with an E at the end at gmail.com. I think that's it. You can send us a voice message if you can attach it to the email, because I don't yet have a voice box set up. I'm going to see how much that costs.
Yeah, because our budget is still the deposit bottles returned. Yeah, so we really can't.
We'll make some money.
If you are a Nigerian prince trying to leave us a fortune, do not send an email.
Thank you. All right, John.
All right, Tim. As always, it was a pleasure.
Was that good?
That was great.
Did we stumble through it?
Yeah, of course we did. But no, we didn't stumble. We're getting the hang of this.
I'll talk to you next week.
Not if I talk to you first.
So much editing I got to do.
SETI BIMCO is a podcast by Tim Hamilton and John Kelly, produced by Miss Lee, music by Tim Hamilton. This has been a Pity Party Line production.
Party line, it's a party line.